I used to think Christmas was the one night my family could pretend to love me. But 5 days before Christmas, everything I believed about them shattered. I was standing outside my parents' study, holding a box of handmade gifts I'd spent months creating, when I heard my name spoken in the coldest tone I'd ever heard. Ava is embarrassing us. This year, we make her face the truth, publicly. I froze. My father's voice was steady, almost casual. My mother laughed softly. My siblings chimed in, planning every detail of how they would humiliate me in front of our entire extended family. Every word sliced through me. I ran. I don't even remember how I ended up on the highway, hands shaking on the wheel. That night, my phone rang. My mom's voice, furious. "Where are you?" I stared into the darkness and whispered, "Did you enjoy my gift?" And that's when everything changed. Growing up as a Jameson in Fairfield, Connecticut meant one thing. Perfection was the bare minimum. My family built their reputation like a brand, polished, expensive, and untouchable. Every Christmas, our house transformed into something out of a luxury magazine. Towering white trees, gold-trimmed garlands, a dining table long enough to seat royalty. And I, Ava Jameson, the daughter who traded a corporate career for a small jewelry studio, never fit into the picture they staged so carefully. My mother, Kimberly, loved appearances more than people. My father, Robert, lived by numbers, income, promotions, rankings. My siblings, Adam and Rachel, both corporate prodigies carved straight from my parents' mold. And then there was me, the creative one, which in my family translated to the disappointment. Still, a part of me wanted to believe this Christmas would be different. I had spent 4 months crafting personalized gifts, pieces inspired by memories only a daughter, only a sister, would remember. I arrived early to help with decorations, trying to prove I belonged. Rosa, our longtime housekeeper, opened the door with a warm smile. "Miss Ava, it's good to see you," she said, squeezing my hand gently. It was the first kindness I received that day. Inside, everything smelled like pine and cinnamon manufactured warmth. I heard voices in the kitchen and found my mom and Rachel hovering over a color-coded event schedule. "Mom, I'm here," I said softly. She didn't even glance up. "Good. Leave your coat. Don't touch the tree. The designers will be back." I swallowed the sting. "I brought some samples. I made gifts this year." Rachel raised an eyebrow. "Jewelry again?" The way she said the word jewelry made it sound like disease. I forced a smile. "Yes. I thought everyone might like." "We're busy, Ava," my mom cut in. Maybe later. Maybe later. Maybe never." I carried my box of gifts down the hallway toward my childhood room, only to find a stranger's suitcase sitting by the door. Confused, I stepped inside. All my things, photos, sketchbooks, childhood keepsakes were stuffed into plastic bins. My pastel wall art was gone. My bookcase was empty. "Mom?" I called out, heart hammering. "Why is my room?" Before I finished, voices drifted from my father's study. "My name," whispered sharply. I moved closer without thinking. That single step toward the half-open door changed everything. I reached the study door just as my father's voice sliced through the silence. "Ava needs to be put in her place." My breath caught. I froze, fingers hovering near the doorknob, afraid even my heartbeat would give me away. Then Rachel's voice, smooth, amused. "She'll panic, Dad. She always does. But honestly, maybe humiliation is what she needs." Humiliation. The word hit me so hard my knees nearly buckled. I pressed my back against the wall, chest tightening. Through the crack in the door, I could see them gathered around the mahogany desk, my father, Adam, Rachel, and my mother, all perfectly composed like they were discussing a business proposal. "This is how we'll do it," my father continued. "After the main course, I'll stand and address the table. I'll tell everyone we're worried about Ava's choices." My mother, Kimberly, added with a sigh. "Her jewelry hobby is embarrassing. She refuses to take a real job. She needs reality, Robert." "She makes what? $35,000 a year?" Rachel scoffed. I looked up average salaries for artists. "Honestly, she should be grateful we're even trying." Adam flipped through a stack of printed pages. "I made charts," he said, as if presenting at a board meeting. "I'll show the family a comparison of Ava's income versus what she could earn in an entry-level corporate job." I didn't even know what hurt more, the words, or the fact they had prepared documents. My throat burned. My father chuckled darkly. When she sees the numbers up on the screen, she won't have anywhere to hide. A screen? They were planning to humiliate me with a presentation? In front of 30 relatives? My mother spoke again, her tone sharp and rehearsed. And once she's finally forced to admit this jewelry fantasy is over, we'll offer her a position at the firm. Nothing demanding, something safe, something controlled. Controlled? Of course. Rachel chimed in. And we should tell her about the room. She can't keep leaving her old things here. We need the space. My stomach twisted. So they were clearing out my room. They hadn't even waited for Christmas. Dad added. Better to do it tonight. She'll be too distracted during the dinner to notice staff taking her things out. I felt something crack inside me. Not a snap, not a scream. Just a quiet, devastating break. Then my mother said something that would haunt me for days. Her little business is like macaroni art kids bring home from school. Cute at first, but ridiculous to cling to as an adult. Everyone laughed. Even Adam. Even the brother who used to help me mix resin in the garage when we were kids. My vision blurred. I blinked hard, forcing myself not to make a sound, not to be discovered, because part of me needed to hear every last truth they hid behind polished smiles. Finally, my father concluded, this Christmas, she learns who she really is. Something inside me whispered back, you're wrong. This Christmas, I finally learn who you are. I stepped away from the door, my legs barely holding me, the weight of their betrayal crushing every breath. It was the moment I stopped being their daughter and started being someone I didn't recognize yet. I don't remember leaving the house. One moment I was standing outside the study door, trembling, and the next I was stumbling into the freezing night air, my breath coming in shallow, broken gasps. My hands shook so violently I dropped my keys twice before finally getting into my car. I pulled out of the driveway faster than I should have. The mansion's Christmas lights blurred in my rearview mirror, gold, white, glowing an illusion of warmth that had never belonged to me. The cold truth hit harder than the winter wind. They weren't planning to help me. They were planning to destroy me. I didn't cry at first. I just drove blindly, desperately, until the GPS screen became a haze and the road signs blurred. By the time I pulled into a rest stop off the highway, my chest felt like it had collapsed in on itself. I parked, turned off the engine, and the silence inside the car was unbearable. Then the tears came. Not soft, gentle ones, the kind that choke you, the kind that make you fold over the steering wheel because your body can't hold the pain. I was gripping the fabric of my coat so tightly my knuckles went white. How could they? I whispered into the darkness, voice cracking. My phone buzzed on the passenger seat. Of course, Mom calling. I didn't answer. I could barely breathe, let alone talk. After the third missed call, I did the only thing I could think of. I tapped on Mia's contact and pressed call. She picked up on the second ring. Ava? Ava, what happened? You okay? You sound like you're underwater. I tried to speak, but nothing came out except a sob. Mia instantly understood. Hey, breathe. Where are you? A rest stop, I managed. On I-95, I think. I just left. Left what? My family, I whispered. Mia, they planned it. They planned everything. A presentation, in front of everyone. My voice broke. They laughed at me. There was a long silence on her end, the heavy kind filled with anger. Ava, those monsters. Her tone turned sharp, protective. Tell me exactly what you heard. I told her. Every word, every insult, every plan to humiliate me. By the time I finished, Mia was seething. Listen to me carefully, she said. Nothing they said is true. Nothing. You run a business, you make real money, you work harder than anyone I know. What if they're right? I whispered. What if I'm just pretending? Pretending? Mia practically shouted. Ava, you turned down wholesale orders last month because you were at full capacity. You have a wait list for custom pieces. You have a legitimate income. That's not pretending, that's succeeding. Her words cut through the fog. Ava, you're not the failure. They are, and they're terrified you'll realize it. I let out a shaky breath. For the first time since leaving the house, a small spark of clarity flickered inside me. Mia, I don't know what to do. You're coming home, she said firmly. To your place. Not theirs. I'll stay on the phone until you get there. I nodded even though she couldn't see it. Okay, I whispered. Good. Now start the car, I'm right here. So I did. I restarted the engine, pulled back onto the highway, and followed the sound of her voice, soft, steady, safe, back toward the life I thought wasn't enough. I didn't know it yet, but this was the night I stopped begging for a family and started choosing my own. When I finally pulled up to my apartment in Brooklyn, the sky was still dark, but the edges were softening with the first hint of dawn. My building wasn't glamorous, no marble floors, no chandelier, no manicured walkway like the Jameson estate. But when I unlocked the front door and stepped inside, warmth wrapped around me like a blanket I didn't know I needed. This tiny two-bedroom place, I paid for it every inch with my own hands. My own work. My own late nights and blistered fingers. I exhaled shakily as I hung my coat, my chest still tight from crying. I walked into my small studio corner, the desk cluttered with gemstones, sketches, packaging materials. My tools lay exactly where I'd left them. Nothing here judged me. Nothing here compared me to someone more successful. Nothing here tried to mold me into something I wasn't. I flipped on the lights. Soft yellow filled the room. My wall of framed features caught my eye. An article from a local design magazine praising my craftsmanship. A blog review calling my work thoughtful, intimate, artful. Customer photos wearing the pieces I made just for them. I had pinned them there back when I believed accomplishments mattered, before I realized my family didn't care enough to read a single one. I brushed my fingertips over the frames. Why didn't I ever show them proudly? Because I was afraid they'd laugh. Because I thought recognition only counted if they gave it. Because I still wanted their approval long after they stopped deserving mine. My phone buzzed on the counter. One new email. Silver and Bloom. Collaboration inquiry. My heart skipped. I clicked it open. Dear Ava, we love your designs and would like to discuss featuring your collection in our spring showcase. My mouth fell open. Silver and Bloom wasn't some small boutique, they were one of the most respected mid-range jewelry brands in the country. Getting a feature from them could triple my sales overnight. I collapsed onto the couch, covering my mouth with my hand. They wanted me. They thought my work was worthy. They saw value where my own family saw macaroni art. I didn't realize tears were falling again until one hit the back of my hand. But this time, it wasn't heartbreak, it was disbelief. Relief. Gratitude. I leaned back against the cushions, staring at my small living room, string lights draped across the window. The half-decorated mini tree in the corner, my mismatched pillows. A life built by me. Flawed but mine, quiet but honest. Small but real. I hadn't failed. I had simply grown in a direction they never bothered to turn their heads toward. And for the first time in my life, a new possibility entered my mind, fragile but powerful. Maybe they were wrong about me. Maybe they had always been wrong. I sat there until dawn fully broke, letting that thought settle deep in my bones, warming parts of me that had long been cold. Tomorrow, I realized, I wouldn't be the same daughter who walked into that mansion. I was already becoming someone new. By mid-morning, the sunlight pouring through my blinds felt almost insulting. How could the world look so bright when everything inside me still ached? I wrapped myself in a blanket and sat on the kitchen floor, back against the cabinets, staring at nothing. I wasn't ready to face my family, but I was done letting them decide my life for me. Slowly, deliberately, I pulled out my notebook, the one I used for design sketches, and flipped to a blank page. My hand trembled at first, but once my pen touched the paper, something shifted. For the first time, I wasn't planning jewelry. I was planning my freedom. At the top of the page, I wrote, "What I will do next." Then I listed, one by one. 1. I will not go to Christmas. No warning. No explanation. No apology. They would feel my absence the same way I felt their cruelty. 2. I will say yes to Silver and Bloom. That deal was mine, not theirs to approve or mock. Success would be my loudest response. 3. I will have my own Christmas one I choose. A real celebration, with people who actually love me. 4. I will send the gifts I made for them professionally delivered. Not out of love anymore, but to prove that their cruelty wouldn't turn me into them. 5. I will set boundaries. If they spoke to me again, it would be on my terms. Respectful. Honest. Equal. Or not at all. 6. I will reclaim my childhood belongings legally. If they wanted to treat my room like storage space, I would treat this like the legal matter it was. No more letting them decide what I get to keep. When I finished, I stared at the page for a long time, not overwhelmed, not afraid, just steady. Then I picked up my phone and called an old acquaintance, Ella Parker, a lawyer who specialized in personal property and tenant rights. She answered on the second ring. Ava? Long time. I need advice, I said, voice low. My parents are clearing out my childhood room. Without telling me. Ella inhaled sharply. Did you move out voluntarily? Have you abandoned the property? No, I said. I visit every year. They just decided. Then write a certified letter immediately stating you did not abandon your belongings and intend to retrieve them. Her voice was calm, firm. Time-stamped proof puts legal pressure on them. They can't claim they thought you didn't want the items. I scribbled notes. Okay, thank you, Ella. Really, when you're ready, she added softly. You can also talk to me about emotional boundaries. Family like that, it's not easy. But you're doing the right thing. The right thing. 2 words no one in my family had ever said to me. After hanging up, I drafted the certified letter listing photos, sketchbooks, childhood crafts, jewelry tools, every item I remembered leaving behind. I printed it, signed it, sealed it, and walked it to the post office myself. The moment I handed it to the clerk, chest tightening as it left my fingers, I realized something. This was my first act of self-defense. Not against strangers. Against the people who raised me. That afternoon, Mia showed up at my apartment. Unannounced, hair messy, wearing a giant hoodie, holding 2 coffees and a bag of pastries. You look like you haven't eaten in 12 hours, she said, pushing past me. Sit, now. I obeyed, half smiling. She spread pastries across my counter like she was planning an intervention of her own. So, she said, sipping her latte, tell me the plan. I slid the notebook across the table. She read every line slowly, then looked up, eyes shining with something fierce, something proud. Ava, this is power. I don't feel powerful, I admitted. You will, she said, especially when we get to this part. She tapped the line. Have my own Christmas. I know a cabin, she continued. My cousin's place in Vermont. Empty during the holidays. Fireplace, snow, privacy, peace. We can go there. My lips parted. Mia. No, I can't ask that. You didn't ask, she said firmly. I'm offering. And we're going. End of discussion. I laughed, actually laughed for the first time since last night. She grinned. Good. Pack warm clothes. We're leaving on the 23rd. The 23rd. 2 days before the Christmas dinner, where my family planned to break me, but I wouldn't be there. For once in my life, I wouldn't stand in the fire trying to prove I was worth loving. I would choose people who already knew I was. Christmas Eve arrived with a thin layer of snow dusting the streets, turning Brooklyn quiet and unreal. Mia and I had just finished loading the last bags into her car when my phone buzzed. Mom calling. I let it ring. 5 seconds later, Adam calling. Then, Rachel calling. It was 6:59 p.m., 1 minute before the Jameson Christmas Eve cocktail hour always began. I could almost imagine the scene. The crystal glasses, the towering trees, the perfectly arranged hors d'oeuvres, and an empty spot where I was expected to stand, smiling, pretending nothing was wrong. My phone vibrated again. I didn't look at it. Mia opened the driver's door. Ignore them, we're leaving in 2 minutes. But then another call. This time from a number I knew by heart even without looking. My father. I turned the screen face down, hands shaking. Want me to throw it out the window? Mia asked. I almost said yes. Instead, I took a slow breath. No. I need to be the one who decides, I whispered. Not them. As if summoned by my words, the phone stopped buzzing, only to buzz again instantly. Mom calling. I sighed. If I don't answer, she'll keep calling all night. Then answer, Mia said gently. But don't let her pull you back in. I swallowed hard and pressed. Accept. Hello? Her voice exploded through the speaker. Where are you? I flinched. No greeting? I said. Merry Christmas to you too, Mom. This is not the time for sarcasm, Ava, she snapped. Your father and I have been looking everywhere. The guests are here. Your grandmother is asking for you. You need to come home now. I'm not coming, I said quietly. A sharp inhale. Excuse me? You heard me. Ava Jameson, she said, lowering her voice into that icy tone she used whenever she wanted control. You will get in your car, and you will drive here immediately. This behavior is unacceptable. Unacceptable, of course. Everything I did was. I stared out at the falling snow, feeling something inside me finally stop trembling. No, I said. It was a small word. But it felt like lifting a mountain. What did you say? She demanded. I said no, Mom. I'm not coming. There was a furious rustle on the other end, like she had stood up suddenly. Ava, don't do this. Not tonight. Not when the whole family. You mean the whole audience, I cut in. The audience for the little performance you planned. Silence. Cold, dangerous silence. What performance? She said slowly, pretending confusion like she'd rehearsed it. I heard everything, I said. Every word. Last night. Outside Dad's study. Still silence. Worse now, heavier. So I plunged the knife deeper. The presentation Adam prepared. The speech Dad rehearsed. Your plan to humiliate me in front of 30 people. The room you cleared out behind my back. The jokes. The laughter. I could practically hear her brain scrambling. Ava, you misunderstood. No, I said. I finally understood. Her voice turned frantic. Ava, you're being dramatic. We were concerned about your future. Concern doesn't sound like laughter, I snapped. Concern doesn't involve calling my work macaroni art. Concern doesn't require a PowerPoint. She exhaled sharply, anger crackling at the edges. You were eavesdropping, she accused. I was walking to my room, I corrected. A room you'd already emptied. Ava, listen to me. No, I said again. You listen. My voice didn't shake. For the first time in my life, it didn't shake. I'm not coming home. Not tonight. Not tomorrow. Not until you learn to treat me like an adult. Like a daughter. Like a human being. You have responsibilities to this family? She shouted. No, I said calmly. I had obligations you invented. I'm done fulfilling them. You're making a mistake, she hissed. Your father will be furious. There will be consequences. Such as? I asked. Cutting me off financially? I pay my own bills. Taking away my room? You already did. Destroying my reputation? I don't need a reputation in a family that doesn't want me. You're throwing away Christmas, she screamed. No, I whispered. I'm saving it. And mein Kreisen Christ. On the other end, I heard muffled voices, my father asking what was happening. Rachel saying something sharp. Adam trying to calm them. My mother's voice returned, soaked in bitterness. This discussion is not over. It is for me, I replied. Merry Christmas, Mom. And I hung up. My thumb hovered over the screen, my heart pounding so loudly I thought Mia could hear it. She didn't ask what happened. She just reached over, took my hand, squeezed it. You okay? She whispered. I nodded, though tears were already slipping down my cheeks. I finally told her no, I said, voice cracking. For the first time in my life, I told her no. Mia smiled softly. Then let's go, Ava. Your real Christmas is waiting. I buckled my seatbelt. She started the engine. The wheels began to roll. Behind us, the Jameson mansion glittered like a lie. Ahead of us, the road stretched into fresh snow, quiet, open, honest, and for the first time, I didn't feel like I was running away. I felt like I was finally running home. The drive to Vermont took 4 hours, but it felt like exhaling for the first time in years. Snow thickened as we climbed into the mountains, frosting the trees, the guardrails, even the air. When Mia finally pulled into the driveway of the cabin, I could only stare. Wooden walls, warm light glowing from inside, smoke rising from the chimney like a gentle welcome. Nothing fancy. Nothing curated for photos or guests. Just real. Mia grinned. Told you. Heaven on earth. When I stepped inside, heat rushed over me, smelling like pine and burning oak. The stone fireplace crackled, filling the cabin with a soft golden glow. Then I heard footsteps. Ava. Noah, my first retail partner, came out from the kitchen, carrying a tray of mugs. Behind him was Claire, my old studio mate, holding a freshly baked pie. And trailing behind her were Ryan and Caleb, each juggling bags of groceries and decorations. I blinked. What are all of you doing here? Claire shrugged, smiling. Mia sent one message. That was enough. Noah handed me a mug of hot chocolate. You didn't think we'd let you spend Christmas alone after what your family did, right? My eyes burned. Not with pain this time, with something warm, something gentle. Mia nudged me. See? Some families are chosen. We cooked together messy, chaotic, absolutely imperfect. No caterers, no schedules, no judgment, just laughter, just warmth, just freedom. At one point, while cutting vegetables, Ryan said, "You know, Ava, your pieces sold out in my store last weekend. People love your work." Caleb chimed in, "My sister literally won't take off the necklace you made her." I felt myself smiling unforced, unpracticed. I didn't realize how rare that had become. After dinner, we gathered around the fire. Noah poured wine, Claire passed around her pie, and Mia brought out a small wooden box filled with blank ornaments and paint. "New tradition," she declared. "Everyone makes an ornament representing their year." I hesitated, but eventually painted a bird flying out of an open cage, gold wings, midnight blue tail. No one asked what it meant. They didn't need to. While the fire popped and crackled, my phone buzzed beside me. Mia frowned. "Ignore it if you want. It is a bade fray, but something told me to look." "Aunt Meredith. I heard what they planned. I'm so ashamed of your mother and father. Your gift is beautiful, Ava. I'm proud of you." My lips parted. Another buzz. "Cousin Lily. Your necklace made me cry. You're so talented. We had no idea how successful you've become." Another buzz. "Grandmother Eleanor. I do not approve of what happened. At all. Call me when you can, darling. And thank you for the bracelet. It's exquisite." I choked on a breath. "They know," I whispered. "They found out." Mia leaned over. "Good. Let the truth burn through that perfect facade." But I wasn't thinking about the facade. I was thinking about something else, something surprising. They believed in me. Not all of them, but enough to matter. A few hours later, when the snowfall grew heavy and the fire dimmed, Noah made a toast. "To Ava," he said softly. "For choosing herself this Christmas." Everyone raised their glasses. I swallowed hard, throat tight. "For the first time," I said, "I feel like I'm spending Christmas somewhere I belong." And in that moment, surrounded by people who saw me, supported me, cherished me without conditions, I realized something. I hadn't lost a family tonight. I had found one. 6 weeks after the Christmas that broke me and rebuilt me, I stood in the doorway of my new studio, holding a cup of coffee and staring at the empty space soon to be filled with workbenches, tools, and team members. Yes, team members, plural. Sunlight poured through the enormous warehouse windows, washing over the polished concrete floors and the sketches pinned along the wall. I breathed in the scent of fresh lumber and new beginnings. My business wasn't a hobby anymore. It was a company. Orders from Silver and Bloom had exploded so much that I had to hire 2 part-time assistants and start drafting a production workflow. Last week, they'd emailed again. "We want to feature you as a rising designer in our spring spotlight campaign." I read it 3 times before it sank in. This was happening. This was real. As I arranged trays of gemstones on my new workbench, my phone buzzed with a message from my brother, Adam. "Adam, I was wrong. About a lot. Can we talk sometime?" No pressure. I stared at the screen, surprised by the honesty, something rare in the Jameson family DNA. I typed back, "Me. When I'm ready. But thank you." A boundary. Not a wall. A choice mine. 20 minutes later, another message came in. "Grandmother Eleanor. Sending you photos of your bracelet. I wore it to a luncheon today and everyone adored it. When can you visit London?" I smiled, heartwarming. That invitation meant more than she knew. Then, almost like the universe testing me, an email from my father landed in my inbox. A spreadsheet. An unsolicited analysis of my financial trajectory. A paragraph implying my success was temporary unless I accepted a stable corporate role. For the first time, his attempts didn't sting. I hit reply. "Thank you for your concern. I'm proud of what I'm building, and I'm doing well. I won't be discussing career changes. I wish you the best." No explanations. No justifications. Just truth with a boundary wrapped around it. My mother sent a message later that afternoon. "Mom, your absence at Christmas caused a lot of unnecessary tension. It would be nice if you apologized." I didn't respond. Some messages didn't deserve an answer. 2 weeks after that, I drove back to the mansion accompanied by Mia to collect the last of my childhood belongings. Rosa greeted me warmly and helped me pack everything into boxes. My old sketchbooks, my first pliers and wire cutters, a half-finished beaded bracelet from when I was 11. These weren't reminders of failure. They were proof I'd always been me. While packing, Rosa whispered, "Your mother tried to donate your old tools, but I hid them. I knew they mattered." I hugged her. When I left the house for the last time, carrying the final box to the car, I didn't feel grief. I felt closure. The kind that doesn't slam doors, just leaves them gently behind. That night, back in my apartment, I placed my childhood tools on the shelf above my new workbench. Old and new, past and future. Side by side, I thought of the girl who once begged her family to see her, and the woman now choosing who deserved a place in her life. Mia texted me, "Mia, cabin next Christmas? Tradition starts now," I smiled. "Me, every year. I'll bring the ornaments." I turned off the studio lights, leaving the golden winter sun to illuminate the room. This wasn't escape. This wasn't rebellion. This was becoming. And as I locked the door behind me, I finally understood something I had spent 28 years trying to learn. Christmas didn't break me. It revealed me. And I'm never going back to the version of myself who begged to be loved.